Hi everyone, nice that you're all here. My name is Ronnie Eriksson, and this is actually the first episode ever of the new podcast series Nordic Wave of Change. I've been super excited for a long time to actually start our own podcast to talk about the best concepts that we have here in the Nordic region. And today, especially the focus will be on Finland and the education and especially the future of education. And today with me here in the studio, I have with me Peter Vesterbacka and Joalin Loukamaa. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
So, to get started with things, Joalin, how was your morning today and how are you doing?
It was great until I was driving here and I passed the exit 2 times, so I had to drive another 20 minutes around. Besides that, it was amazing.
Awesome. Well, what is like normally part of your morning routine? What do you do in your mornings?
I take a long shower. I sleep a bit more in the shower.
You're not singing or dancing in the shower?
Not in the morning, no. It takes me a sec to wake up. Then I drink some coffee. I get ready, get dressed, and then I'm out. Yeah.
Driving around?
Yes.
On the road.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very cool.
How about you, Peter? How was your morning today?
It was pretty good. So I had like a early morning meeting, had a few coffees and all of that. And yeah, I took a shower before the meeting and everything. So yeah, it's kind of like, it varies, but typically now in these pandemic times, always like some online meeting right in the morning. And yeah, it's kind of like becoming a routine, sitting there in front of the screen, talking to people like all over the planet. So it's kind of like the new normal, I guess.
And I think that's the one thing that unites you both. You've been traveling the world already a lot. Now maybe in the pandemic times more online, but normally you do it on site. And Joalin, you especially are maybe a bit of a new face here in Finland. Could you give a short introduction who you are and what you've been doing the past years?
Short introduction, okay. I was born in Finland, moved away first time when I was 3, so my whole life lived outside of the country. And then 4 years ago, I joined this band called Now United. It's a international pop group. There's one person everyone's from a different country. We're 17 right now. There's 17 members in the group. Yes, it's a bit crazy. And yeah, I've been traveling the world with them, touring, doing interviews, doing TV shows, enjoying life. It's been great. And now I've lived in Finland for like a year. Yeah, I think last week I completed a year in Finland and it's been great.
What has been the greatest part about Finland?
Definitely not the cold. I think maybe the people. Yeah, I've met some pretty cool people.
Cool. Then we have Peter.
Yeah.
Could you give a short introduction who you are? I think you're a familiar face already here in Finland and globally, but what are you doing right now?
Yeah, so I've been kind of like an entrepreneur pretty much like all my life, and grew up kind of like on the west coast of Finland, and then I've been traveling quite a bit. So I spent a year way back as an exchange student in the US, and then I also worked there for HP. So I always like to say that like the original startup that Bill and Dave started in their garage in 1939, before my time, in Palo Alto in California. So that's kind of like the birthplace of Silicon Valley. So know my way around kind of like there. And always been interested in kind of like new things, technology, and new kind of like ways of doing things. And then spent many years as the Mighty Eagle at Rovio, Angry Birds. So we built that into the fastest growing consumer brand ever. And I always like to say that, obviously it was easy for us because, being from Finland, and Finnish people are known for being like the best marketeers on the planet. So, of course we did that, but it was pretty cool. And yeah, of course, of course,
yeah.
You've been here for a year, so what we do. But yeah, then always been also interested in kind of like the neighborhood. And the way I look at the neighborhood is that we're here in Finland, so we have kind of like Europe on one side, and then we have like all of Asia on the other side. So our little home market here, 5 billion people, 70% of the world's population. So before the pandemic, used to go to Asia and China in particular, like a lot. So like twice a month, typically somewhere in China. And I actually also believe in kind of like learning things. So then in 2016, I left Rovio after we got the first like Angry Birds movie out and like all of that. And then I went to Beijing. So I can say that Wuotsai Beijing, Beijing Da, Shuasila Bagachinchi, the Hanyu, Dan Sure, Water Hanyu, Haibuan Mei. So I spent 8 weeks in Beijing at Beijing Da, so Beijing Normal University, and studying Chinese. And it was kind of like interesting. So I had like no like Chinese skills, and the first, I would say, 5 weeks felt like I'm learning nothing, and it's like super difficult. But then in the 8th week, I was able to do a 10-minute presentation in Chinese about Slush, actually. And Slush is something that we started with a few friends here in Finland. So that's like now the world's biggest and best startup event. So I've always been involved in kind of like building things. So I think that's what entrepreneurs, what we like doing and like building. So I believe in kind of like learning new things like every day.
And when you talk about learning, I believe you're a big like person talking about this learning by doing concept.
Yes.
What is it about?
Yeah, I think that, it's, I was just talking to Joalin here that she was driving around, and all that. And I always use actually driving cars as an example that everybody hopefully understands that probably the best way to learn how to drive the car is to drive it, and not like, okay, I read a book about driving cars and now I know everything. So we all know that there are many things that you learn best, and I would say most things you learn best by doing. Mm-hmm. So of course, you can like study the theory and like all of that, but I think the car example is pretty cool because then everybody understands that if you really want to learn how to drive and be like the best drivers from Finland, like Kimi Räikkönen and all these guys, probably like they learn that by driving. Yeah.
Yes.
Talking about Kimi Räikkönen, Joalin, I read an article here before the interview that you're actually bigger on Instagram than Kimi Räikkönen. How has that happened?
I don't know. Now United, I guess. I'm pretty sure if Kimi walks around the streets here, he will be recognized sooner than me. But yeah, Instagram, he's like here and I'm like here.
But actually, I'm not so sure because now that you're like part of this like Finnish survivor thing, so yeah, and I saw that you just last episode avoided being voted off the island. So like good job. But I think that that's actually a good example that again, there's still like this role for traditional media, like TV and all of that. That's okay. I wouldn't say that nobody knew you before here in Finland, but I mean, you had a much bigger audience like outside. And I think that this is also a great example that you can now really build like a global presence, and you don't need to worry if you're like in Finland or Mexico or wherever you happen to be. And I think that's also like very cool. And young people today have, and also as like the older people, I mean, there's like amazing opportunities. So if you know what you're doing, you can reach like the world.
Yeah, no, and I love because I am from Finland and I represent Finland in a like global pop group. It's nice to have also the support of my country. So now that they're starting to know me, it's like nice to see people actually supporting me from here too.
Yeah.
How was it actually growing up then in Mexico? I think you were something around 10 years old when you moved there.
Exactly 10 years old.
And after that, how was it like growing up in your teens in Mexico as a Finn?
I think it was a lot of fun. I guess before moving there, I had lived here for about 2 years. So I was used to going to school alone. And then now I had moved to a country where that wasn't possible for a blonde, blue-eyed, small little girl, It was so nice. The weather, oh my God, the people, everyone's so welcoming. And then because I dance, I met like the whole dance community. And I just feel like all the dancers and all the people, my dad's friends, everyone was like my uncles and aunties. So everywhere I went, I knew someone and I felt like safe with them. But definitely it was a bit crazy. It was,
What like part of or did you have a lot of like Nordic friends or Finnish friends there? Was there a lot of people from here?
When we moved there, we moved because of my mom's friend that wanted to open up a business. We were supposed to go for like half a year or a year. we stayed for 9, so it didn't really go as planned. But yeah, first I had a Finnish friend with me, and we both went to the same class in school. And I don't think we even like hung out that much. We both like found our friends, even though he didn't even speak Spanish. But the people are so welcoming there. It's so nice that we both just like found our friends, and yeah, I don't think I knew anyone else from over here. Over there. Yeah. It was just, I remember every time I would like be at the store and I would hear Finnish, I would freak out. I'm like, oh my god, moi, te puhutte suomea. Oh my god. And then, you know, Finnish people are always like, hi. Yeah, hi. But yeah, no, not a lot of Finnish people over there.
You, Peter, then you have been doing a lot of stuff in the Latin American part of the world. Why and how have you ended up there?
Yeah, I would say that like been like all over the place, also in Latin America. But that was kind of like the say the last continent or last part of the world where I visited. So I spent a lot of time in Asia, and then during the Rovio times we opened up kind of like in Latin America. So I spent a lot of time in Brazil and did a lot of like cool things there. So it was you know, and of course there in Brazil and all of Latin America, it's all about football, and there's like a lot of interesting things that we ended up doing again because of Angry Birds. I mean, one time our guy in Brazil said that, hey Peter, that we have this like charity like football match, like it's between like Christmas and New Year's though. So would you be interested to come like to Rio and you know, play in that charity game? And then, you know, I was thinking about like charity games here in Finland, that okay, football, and it's okay, fine, you know, it's like you know, like probably like among a few friends and like all of that, and then actually went there then with my family, and then and my son used to play like a lot of football, so like it's also interesting in that, and then when we show up in Rio for that, I think it was like 2015 or something like that, and then this little charity game turns out to be you know, like a pretty big thing. So it was actually on the Maracanã, so like that big famous stadium. So then you know, like the other players were people like Zico, Romario, you know, like all of these like huge stars from like the past. And then I ended up actually playing same team as the son of Zico, and then and nobody spoke any English. So then I was trying to ask the coach, and I was like, so what am I supposed to do? Because they had this like strategy session before the game in Spanish, and I don't speak Spanish. So they say, okay, you just stay like somewhere there in the middle. So then I ended up running back and forth, and then these guys actually know how to play. I'm not like, I played like when I was younger a little bit, but never, you know, like that much. So then I was after the first like half day, then and it was like a super hot day, so I was like exhausted, you know, running there back and forth and just trying to like even like, you know, get to touch the ball or something.
But did you win?
We actually was a tie, and then the highlight of the game, and I had my family, my son, and it was like, okay, Dad, I mean, like, come on, and like, but then it was what was really cool was that I managed to like block one like shot, so at least I contributed to our tie. but you know, there was one of these things that, you know, like even kind of like getting to kind of like touch the ball for a couple times was like pretty tough. But it was it was like an amazing experience, and then you realize, you know, like that, okay, this is like, you know, huge. I mean, it's like football, it's bigger than life.
I think that's something about Latin America that I love too. Everything they do is a big party. Everything, and then they have every day there's a new something, like Teachers Day, and
exactly
everything. Yeah, I love it.
But then also what was very cool there, so there's actually this like Zico 10 like school that they're running. And I thought that was like super cool. So they're actually, the kids go to the school, and if then they need to have the like academic performance, and then they're basically allowed on the football team and like all of that. So I thought that was like super cool. So again, there was like this kind of like learning and that angle. And and also like then about like Latin America, done a lot of work also then with some friends in like Argentina, and then also have some friends in Colombia as well. So we've done some work there. Have to do like some name dropping. So we actually ended up doing this game together with Shakira.
Okay.
And reason why we did that was first time I met with her was actually, I met with Gerard Piqué, so he plays in Barcelona, and then again the football thing actually, which now I guess we're getting into this football theme, but anyway, so met with Gerard, that's like a couple of years ago, and then we're talking about actually again education, and then. And games, and Gerard actually turns out that he had like a game studio on his own, so like making games and besides playing like football in Barcelona, and then actually said that hey, we need to kind of like talk and actually have a message for Shakira, and then we recorded a video. We had like lunch in Barcelona, and I said that hey, I have this message for Shakira. That did you know that the best-selling game in I think 2012 made as much money in 4 days as the best-selling song in 2 years. We should talk. And then after that, I got a message from Gerard that, hey, you know, would you like to come and check out like El Clasico, you know, so like the big one in Barcelona at Camp Nou, and I said that yeah, sure. And then went there with Niklas, you know, founder of Rovio, and then invited to watch the El Clasico game together with actually Gerard's parents, brother, and Shakira. and then first like 5 minutes, we actually had high-fived twice with Shakira because we started talking about education. So it turns out that she has a bunch of schools across Latin America in Colombia and looking at like early years education and all of that. So then, you know, we decided, hey, we have to do something together. And then we actually ended up doing this game together with Shakira. And and then like been keeping in touch around education again. So I think that it's like football, education, like the most important things in life for many people. So yeah.
What is the game about?
It was actually this puzzle game called Love Rocks. It's a long story. We launched that in 2015 actually, and it wasn't like a huge hit or anything, but it was like a lot of fun. Made a lot of kind of like interesting like marketing activities around that, and it was like again a good example of combining again fun and learning, and that's been talking a lot about like the fact that we need to make learning fun, and that's something that's super important, and I think that we've been reasonably good in Finland, but still we have like a long way to go to make it even more like fun and more effective. So yeah,
very good. Before we jump into the future of education, you talked a bit about the language barriers. And I know, Joalin, that you actually know the language, the local language, but how much can you actually do stuff with only having knowledge, for example, in English compared to having like the local language capabilities?
Well, it depends where you go, because the city where I lived is a city that a lot of tourists come to. So everyone knows English, even though it might sound a bit funny sometimes. Everyone knows English. At least they know, come to my shop, come to my shop. A bit of English. But I think you can go pretty far with just, Latin people love to communicate with the hand gestures. And if you see them talk, they're always like, hey, okay. So I think you can get far with just head nods and hands.
Is it from the talking where the rhythm to the dancing also comes from?
Maybe.
It's pretty cool. I think it's kind of like found in the genes of the Latin American people. Like I was talking with this Aviv from Bigger Games, and he was talking all about this Latin America, and they have the rhythm. They have the like, no one has the rhythm like they have it, and it comes from the core of the music. I think you have experienced that a lot as a dancer in that region.
It actually, I always wanted to learn salsa. I've never taken a class or anything, and I don't know how to dance it yet. But being a girl, I'm the one that follows. So every time I would go to a party or something, there's always a moment of the night that they play salsa. And then you have to go to the dance floor, and then someone finds you, and then they dance salsa with you. And I always feel so, I'm like, yay, I love this. It's so much fun. And I love how it just becomes like, even though no one knows each other, everyone finds a partner and everyone's dancing and passing partners around. And it's just, it's so positive and so welcoming. I really, really love it.
It's like these kylätanssit we have here in Finland, where you go out to the countryside and then you go find yourself someone to dance with and pick up. I remember I was like, I think 10 years old or something, and I had to take my first girl to dance at that time.
Oh my god,
It
I
was
want to
scary.
go to one of them.
Yeah, but we danced like this hitaat slow dancing.
Oh,
you know,
okay.
like, so-
Yeah, I can see it in my head.
Yeah. But I think that's actually a good example. But I think that it's again dance and music are really like super international like languages. And this is always when I'm in Argentina, because always have to share with them that we have a lot of in common, because I mean, after all, in Finland we invented like the tango, and then they always have really, and then yeah, have you heard about like this Seinäjoen tangomarkkinat? It's the biggest tango event on the planet, and it's in Finland like every year. But and there's actually been documentaries done by these Argentinian teams about like this tango event in Finland. But I think that it's actually amazing that like you have Argentina and you have Finland, where like tango is like huge, and then you're like, why? And it's just like, oh yeah, because like we invented it. And then
There's so many things that are from Finland and no one knows, and everyone thinks it's theirs. I had this conversation with my Japanese friend about muumi. I think muumi is Finnish, right?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So we were in London, and there was a muumi shop for some reason. She's like, "Oh my god, look, this is Japanese." I'm like,
Yeah.
"No, that is Finnish. Get your facts right."
Yeah.
Thank you.
But I think that this is also again it's super cool. So I mean, like if you look at like then the movements from Finland, big in Japan, and there's a lot of these kind of things, and then like total random things like tango and like all of this, and it's again like why, and it's just like okay, but that's like it happened, and it's also good to look at this that it's not only like nowadays that okay, people move around and go places and all that, but we have had a lot of, let's say, international like interaction and all of that like through history. And I think that this is always like good to look at these kind of like influences and things that we've had, because I mean we also have like a lot of people now who are, like they are longing back to some like ancient past when things were like simple and like okay, we didn't have all of this like international influence and like all that. But I think that we forget that okay, taking tango as an example, it's not like it came to Finland like yesterday or something like that, or so I think that there's a lot of that kind of like richness and this kind of thing that we have because we have had interaction between again Finland and Latin America, which doesn't come to mind like immediately, because I mean we're pretty like distant if you look at from geography. So it's very very but it's very cool to see these kind of things, and then you're like, oh yeah, this like I know that stuff.
Good. And today we're here to talk a bit about the future of education, and especially looking now at this new normal that is coming in the world, and these big megatrends we have as urbanization, also digitalization, and how that actually affects education. And now, Peter, you've been working within the educational field for years and years. So what do you see as the big changes going to happen in the education industry, and why do we need to act now?
Yeah, I think we always need to act now, and I think that again, it's as simple as that like young people, so you're the future, and I think that it's always like then the only thing that we can kind of like leave behind is like fantastic education. So I think that this is something why it's like super important, and then I mean like with Joalin, so like when did you know that you're gonna become like an influencer, and what is that actually even?
Oh my god. I guess when I joined United, and I also didn't expect it to be that fast or this much. It's been a whole experience. It's been great, and I've done a lot of learning along the way. A lot of learning. Yeah, still have a lot to do.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that this is like important thing here that first of all we don't know when we're young what we want to do necessarily. And I think that this is something that also that if you look at, let's go back, like 20 years or 19 years or something, and then like okay, so the influencer like job didn't exist.
Yeah, I was about to say that. It's crazy because nowadays I see kids like 12-year-olds and they're like, I'm like, what do you want to be when you're older? They're like, oh, an influencer, a YouTuber.
Yeah.
That wasn't a thing before.
Exactly.
That didn't exist. So I think that's why it also happened as a surprise, because you could dream about being an artist or like doing the things that influencers do, but there wasn't the word influencer.
Exactly.
So I'm glad it exists nowadays and that people are actually like normalizing it instead of looking at it, oh, you post on Instagram, because it's a lot more than that.
Exactly. But I think that this is also kind of like the point that we don't know what kind of like the next like influencer type of job, or like the jobs of the future. We don't know. I mean, 20 years from now, it could be like totally different. And actually, what we know is that the only like constant is change, and change is like faster and faster. So we are basically fortunate that change will never be as slow as today, because tomorrow it will be faster again. And I think that again, that is also like a huge challenge for education, because again, it takes a few
You have
years
to keep up.
and we need to prepare our young people for jobs that we don't know. So that's something that again in education, that we need to make sure then that we prepare our young people to kind of like be creative problem solvers, that like you can actually
be able to adapt.
Exactly. That's the most important thing, that it's not about, again, like the example of like learning how to drive a car by reading a book. I mean, it's a little bit like the same thing here, that you just need to be prepared, and you can't like just like read a bunch of books and hey, I'm ready. But you will have new challenges, and through that also new like jobs, new opportunities, and that's kind of like the thing.
Yeah.
I believe that we're kind of like in this table, or we're sitting here, and we can like say that we understand that. But then if we go to Africa or Latin America, where the parents maybe never have heard about influencers, they have never heard about these new future roles and things there might be. So they won't even give the support to their children to do this stuff. I don't know, Joalin, how much did you experience these kind of things in Mexico when you were spending time there?
I think, well, for me personally, I've always had a very supportive mother. So anything I've done, she's been like, yes, go for it, and like work hard for it. But yeah, I've had friends that, I could see they wanted to do something. My best friend, actually, she really wanted to be an actress. And she would look for schools and do everything she can and go to acting classes and blah, blah, blah. But then her parents are like, no, like you should stay here and study this and that.
Get a real job.
It's just, it's just so sad to see someone that really wants to do something, and then she doesn't get the support, but she can't just do it herself because, it's expensive. And so I'm very, very glad I've always had the support of my parents.
Exactly. And this is where I think like that the Finnish education system, for example, can do a paradigm change. So what the education system can do is that it starts actually to allow different kind of education with these new industries that we're having. And now, for example, there is this one concept that has now been built, so the Influencer Academy. And Pierre, could you give us a short introduction what the Influencer Academy is and why it exists?
Yeah, I mean, so that's something that we've been working together with like the EduNation team and with Joalin and a bunch of people. Actually, sort of where we met last time with Joalin in Tampere. So building this Influencers Academy, and that's something that we're doing together with some local players there, and actually like the real universities and like all of that. So I think that there's still in a lot of places it's important that you have kind of like a real degree and kind of like a real education. So I mean, the example of your friend and wanting to become an actress and like all of that in many cases and I think that this is again where parents that, oh fine, you can become an actress or an influencer, but it would be good if you also have like a real degree. And I think that then, okay, but I want to have like a real degree in like influencing, and it's like then you look around that, okay, no such thing. So that's actually what we're doing now, that you can do your job and it's like a real job, and then we create like a real education, real degree and all of that. But I think that we took this entrepreneurial degree as a basis, because actually if you look at the influencer job, it's actually, Joalin is like entrepreneur and she's running her own like business, and you need a lot of the same skills as you need in, building any company, any startup. So taking that, and then I think that there's a lot of like super cool things that you can do, again, learning by doing. So building, the teams. So it's not like Joalin is doing everything herself. And if you look at like all the big like influencers and all that, there's always like a team doing a lot of things behind. So it's not, okay, let's take a picture and post it on Instagram or, like let's do this like cool TikTok video. I mean, it's like a full-time job. And there's like all of those things that you need. So what we wanted to do is really then put some structure and put some support in place. And again, a big thing here is that learning by doing. So you're doing your job, and then you have like the people around who will tell you that, oh, like here are some ideas for like the marketing, and okay, probably you want to know a little bit about like the numbers of your business and like how it works, and like there's this like looking at the books that the profit and loss and like basic stuff. And I think that's and it's always good then, no matter what you end up doing, then you have that kind of like foundation. So it's that's something that we're like super excited about, and excited to work with Joalin on that. So it's actually super cool project.
Yeah, Peter brought a big list of things that could be able to be offered at this kind of education. But Joalin, as one of the students joining the program, what do you expect to get out of the program? What would you like to? What kind of skills would you like to get?
Wow.
How much time do we have?
I think there's so much. Well, first of all, I'm super excited for the whole teamwork thing because I love teamwork. I'm a bit bossy sometimes, so that might not help. I need to get rid of that. But I love teamwork, and just like, because then you don't learn only about the thing you're doing. You also learn from other people. You learn their skills. You see how they work. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited to maybe travel and be able to work and do the studying at the same time. I'm excited to learn about just marketing and stuff like that. Communication with people, because I feel like that's a really big part of being an influencer. You need to learn how to communicate. You need to learn how to adapt to the room. When you arrive to an interview, you can't just be quiet, you have to. So I'm excited just to see everything I can get out of it.
Yeah.
It's pretty exciting times in your life if you think about it. Like after you graduated from school, after that the pandemic hit, and now you've been doing your own work besides that. How do you think like the education or your learning will change from the studies you've done in Mexico to the studies that you will now encounter when starting here in Finland?
I think I have a deeper passion for studying now than what I had 4 years ago. 4 years ago, I just wanted to get school done. I was like, I don't care about this. I just want to work. So I'm excited now. And actually, this is why I'm also excited to study, because I've always wanted to study, but I never knew what to study. I had like a few things. I was like, okay, I want to learn this, but it's such a small part of what I want to learn. Right. And I feel like Influencers Academy is going to include like everything that I wanted to learn. If I wanted to study dance, I had to do ballet, jazz, and I don't want that. I want hip hop, and there's no schools for hip hop. If I wanted to learn about, directing and filming and everything, I have to choose. Do you want to be a film director, a movie director? Do you want to film the movie, or do you want to be like in front of the camera? It's just, there's not like one that includes everything.
Right.
And also I was going to spend 3 years of my life not being able to like work as much as I want to, because I was going to be studying, and then at the end of the day not even knowing if that's what I want to do. So I'm very, very, very excited for this, because I'm going to be able to keep doing my job and learn something that's going to help me be even better at my job and not like waste time, I guess. And I think because it's been so long since I last studied, I've like built up this excitement for studying. So I think I'm going to be a lot more passionate about it.
But that's actually exactly what it should always be about. I mean, the worst thing that you can hear that, so why am I learning this? And then it's like, oh, because it's going to be on the test. And it's like, okay, great, but will I ever use it, like in my life? And if you can't like see that connection, then, motivation will be like zero, and then there's definitely not like the passion that, hey, like I just have to learn this so I can pass the test and like whatever. And I think that this is also like super important when we look at like learning now, that we all know that, I mean, if we're motivated, if we have the hunger to learn, the passion, of course, I mean, we will learn better. And I mean, it's also like if you love your job, what you're doing, of course, the performance will be better. I mean, if you would hate dancing, then, like, oh no, I have to dance again, like, I know that would like never work. And I think that this is also like when we talk about the future of learning and like all of education, all that's where we need to get that. Again, you're learning by doing, and you are learning every day. And it's not that you go for 3 years and then you're like done, but it's like this, we talk a lot about like this like lifelong learning and like all that. And I think that that's basically what's happening anyway. But then we should have like the support that, okay, you need like the influencers academy because now you're doing influencing, but okay, maybe you want to become like an actress or a movie director or, like a startup entrepreneur or whatever. And then you need to have these skills and you need to go somewhere and then work with people that can help you become more effective. So I think that's for you, Rani, as well. So, like, why did you decide to study what you studied?
I think I chose...
Your parents told you, wrong?
No, actually not. If my parents would have decided I would be a doctor right now.
Okay.
But I chose the entrepreneurial track or to study entrepreneurship for the sole reason that I happened to be in a competition.
Oh.
I was in a competition about do an app idea.
Oh, okay.
And instead of doing an app, I did a company that is able to help other people do apps.
Cool.
So then I won that competition and got the free pass to go to Hanken, the exams. And then I got in and started studying and changed my whole plans because of that. And then
cool.
I started right away as an entrepreneur. And then I found this learning by doing thing.
Yeah.
But that actually takes me to the question that people don't know at a young enough age what they should be doing and they shouldn't know.
Yeah.
But how could we build these educational programs, especially focusing on the Finnish model, so that it allows people to do whatever in their lives that they can? How do you, Peter, think that this Influencer Academy can allow that, for example?
I think that the Influencer Academy is a great example of what we should do much more of. But I think also a very like big thing, and we kind of like take it for granted here in Finland. And I always say that in Finland we believe that children and young people are people too. And then people are like, oh, like, yeah, what do you mean? And then like it's what I mean there is that it shouldn't be that the parents decide on your behalf like how to live your life. And I think that this we take for granted, and I think it's very much here in Finland, in Nordic countries, that is kind of like, of course, I mean, yes, of course, Ronnie, you decide that it didn't feel like becoming a doctor and now you're an entrepreneur, or if you want to be like a dancer, or you want to be an influencer, or you want to be whatever, of course, you need to find kind of like your passion. And I always say that the best advice that I can give to, like anybody, young people, old people, whoever, that do what you love to do. I mean, that's kind of like as simple as that. But then, like there are many people like, oh, but it's easy for you to, I have to kind of like, I have to do this and I have to put my, like food on the table and all that. Yes, of course you need to do that. But I mean, if you hate your job and hate your life, I mean, that's not like a good thing. So I think that it's really important that parents don't mess up the lives of their kids. And this is something that is like very fundamental. But then if you look at like education, I think that as we don't know, first of all, most young people don't know what they want to do, and that's fine. I mean, then you can like, you do things and then, hey, this is pretty cool. I love this. This is what I'm going to do. Okay, go for it. And then you need to find the support. You need to find kind of like the formal education, the informal education, like all of that stuff you need to find. And I think that we just need to build the model. And I think that we're like pretty good, if I look at like the Finnish educational system, that at least it doesn't kill your ability to take initiative. It doesn't kill creativity. So I think that we should keep it that way, that we don't mess up the lives of people, so that we actually encourage people to do the things that they love to do. And that's super important for the educational system, that you're not learning for the test, you're learning for life and what you actually want to do.
I think this takes me, I feel like when I was learning in Mexico, a lot of the things, we learned a lot of like Mexican history, which was interesting, but I was like, do I need this in my life?
Yeah.
I felt like I was learning a lot of stuff I didn't want to learn. So that was kind of like pushing me down, and I was like, okay, I'm just waiting for dance classes to start. I just want to get out of here and go dance, because that's what I want to do. And then what I love about here is I feel like they teach you what you need to know, and they don't push it on you. They just like, so instead of, I feel like this is the difference between learning in Finland and Mexico. I feel like in Mexico, a lot of the kids memorize things.
Right.
And here they actually learn.
Yeah.
So there I would just study things for the test.
Yes.
Don't remember anything right now.
Yeah.
But then here, when I studied for 2 years, I feel like I really learned stuff because it was so interesting, and it it wasn't pushed on me. Like if there's dishes and your mom's like, wash the dishes, you don't want to do it.
Yeah.
But if she's like in her room and you see them, you're like, oh, might as well wash them.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So when it's not pushed on you, you really want to learn more and do more. But then when it's like you have to learn this or you will not be anything in life, then you're not interested anymore.
Yeah. No,
so that's what I like about Finland.
And the way I look at it is that here I think that it's about, you know, like it's not about the teachers teaching, it's about the students learning. And I think learning is like what it's all about. And that again, and then also we learn like in different ways and all of that. But I think that the role of the teacher is really to be more of kind of like
a guide.
Yes, exactly. And like the person that inspires you to learn about, for example, Mexican history. I mean, Mexican history is like super cool. There's lots of like cool stories. But then, you know, but you have to learn it. It's like, read this book because, you know, we're going to ask you questions. It's like, hey, yeah, okay, but it might be like a fantastic book. But if you're forced to, not so much fun. And I think that's again, it's not easy to do. But I think that is... or say that we have, you know, fantastic teachers, and okay, every teacher in Finland has like a master's degree, and it's super difficult to become a teacher because it's a very popular job. So we have thousands of young people every year that want to become teachers but can't because it's super difficult to get into the university to become a teacher because it's very popular and all that. So there are many things that that you need to kind of like put in place, and when you look at, you know, then educational like systems and all of that, but it always should start with, you know, like what do you want to learn and what are you interested in, and then like getting that kind of like curiosity and that kind of like learning like out there.
It's all about that, putting that like theory into practice, and I think that's also one thing that we're still missing in Finnish education a bit, is that I think like in mathematics, for example, for me when I was younger, I never learned mathematics just for the sole reason that where would I use these kind of things? Like, where do I get the good parts of this in my life? And I never saw it until now when I'm starting sitting and doing my financial calculations. I started to see that where I would have actually needed that. But that's something I see that we should improve. And I don't know how much you do have in Mexico, for example, this theory meets practice, or was it only theory in all the education you did?
I think it was more theory, yeah.
And then here on the Finnish side, we have then the vocational schools, and we have the universities of applied sciences, which are really good in this. And maybe you could, Peter, give a couple of examples how we do it on the AI side in Pori, for example.
Yeah, and I think that, and again, that's a great example. They have this AI degree, and of course now everybody's talking about like artificial intelligence, and okay, will it, you know, like destroy all the jobs and like all of that, and that's always, you know, been throughout history. We've always been concerned that okay, machines and you know, technology will destroy all the jobs and nobody will have anything to do. But of course, then if you look at like throughout history, it hasn't been the case. It's just like new jobs, like being an influencer. I mean, they go back, you know, 20 years, and that wasn't like a thing. So we will have a lot of new jobs. But also one thing, if you look at this like AI thing, and it's again, I think it's a great example. There's a lot of concern that, oh, it will wipe out like lots of jobs. Yes, a lot of jobs will change. But then we will need a lot of people, not just to invent and create, you know, like the AI technology. I mean, okay, we invented a lot of these things in Finland, like already back in the 1970s, invented the self-propagating like neural networks, and then like a bit later the self-organizing neural networks, a lot of these like key things. But anyway, then on top of that, we need a lot of people who can apply the technology. And this is again what they're doing like in Pori at this Satakunta University Applied Sciences, training people now and giving them a bachelor's degree in like this applied AI. So how do you take the technology and apply it to kind of like real world problems? So, you know, how do you automate this warehouse? Okay, you need people then not to develop the kind of like the AI technology and all that, but to actually build, for example, warehouse automation as one example on top of that. And you need hundreds of people. Maybe 2 people invented like the cool technology, but then hundreds of people implementing it. And I think that is something that we need both. We need kind of like the inventors. We need also then the implementers and taking those inventions kind of to real life. And again, example of taking, you know, education and looking at this, that people are learning how to actually do things, and be it technology or influencing or, you know, whatever. And I think that is something that is very important, that you're always learning for life. And that should be always like the thing, that you're not, learning because it's on a test or something like that.
Influencer Academy is starting soon. What do you, Joalin, think that we will gain from this Influencer Academy for those who apply? What will be the applied influencing that they will get out of the program?
Oh, wow.
Or from your own life, what have you expected that? What are the kind of applications of influencer? What do they actually do in their everyday life?
Damn. I don't know. It's such a big concept. It's so hard to, but I feel like it's going to be very different for a lot of people. Not everyone is going to do the exact same thing. I feel like there's going to be people focusing more on their own thing. And that's also what I'm excited about, the teamwork, because I feel like maybe there's someone that's already done YouTube for years and then that's their thing. And then someone is more focused and actually being behind the camera. Someone likes to be in front of the camera. So I feel like there's going to be a lot of different type of influencers that come out from this, and maybe even maybe with this we will have names for all those different influencers. There'll be categories and everything in the future. I don't know. I'm
maybe
excited
the
to see
guys
what
here
comes.
behind the camera will join us.
Maybe they will.
So you never know. But I think that actually what is really cool about the Influencer Academy and a lot of these things is that the answer is that we don't know. And that's what's so cool about it. And I always say, that the cool thing about the future is that we can kind of influence it. And I think that is, the thing that it's not predefined and this is how it's going to go. And I think that that's what makes this super exciting for me is that we don't know, but we know that it's going to be amazing because we're going to make it so. So, I mean, that's the cool thing.
Yeah.
There is this Pro Academia model in the background. What is the Pro Academia model about? That gives the flexibility, right?
But it's exactly what Joalin was saying here. It's about the team. So it's again people working together. And we all know that, when we're, if we really want to influence things, then, it helps if we work together. So there's only so much that you can do, as one individual. But then when you can team up and you work with other people, the people behind the camera and, everybody here making this possible. I mean, that's what it's all about. And that's actually at the core of the Influencers Academy is this Pro Academia. So this Pro Academy is this teamwork model that they've been using for, 20, 30 years or something like that. So again, there are some things that, don't change and remain the same. And it's again, about teams and working together. And that's also goes back to the sports analogy that, if you want to have a successful team, I mean, many of the best football players, if you go to that, many of them used to come from Brazil or Latin America in general. But then who cares if you have, some of the best players if they can't play together? So, I mean, Joalin here might be the best influencer on the planet, but if she can't work with other people, good luck with that.
Hopefully I'm not the one taking the picture of Joalin. It will end up really bad.
Yeah. Really? But I mean, it's going to be cool and let's see how it goes. So I'm looking forward to that.
So to sum it up, I think one of the core strengths in the Finnish educational model seems to be that we're able to educate people to work as really good teams. And Influencer Academy seems to be a lot more than making a lot more influencers to the world, but it's actually to increase the capability of the influencers to influence together with the team around them.
Yes.
So when are we officially getting started with the Influencers Academy?
Now, I think that people can start applying to that, as we speak, and it's really, I think that it's going to be really amazing to see, all the things that will come out of that, and I think that if you look at influencing and then also coming from entrepreneurial background and the startup world and all that, I mean, if you ask any startup founder what they want to do, they want to change the world. And I think that also with the influencers that I think and young people in general, so hopefully everybody has that ambition that of course you want to make the world a better place, you want to change the world. And I think that's again something that you can't do alone, but you can influence how things play out.
And Joalin, you're soon starting your studies. What would be your message to those who have been thinking about what should they study next if they, for example, want
Besides
to join
that they
you?
should apply to the
Academy
right now.
Yeah. I mean, I guess find your passion and follow it. and go to Influencers Academy.
Yeah.
The hard question is that how do you know what is your passion? How can you? When did you know that what you do is your passion?
That's just by doing it, I guess. Yeah, I
So
mean,
it's like last week.
okay, no, I think if you're not sure, if you like something, you're like, I want to do this for the rest of my life. I recommend you try a few other things. Like I've always been dancing, but I tried, Olympic sports, as I say, I guess, like sports in general.
Yeah.
I tried a few basketball classes. I tried fighting. I've tried a bunch of things, but then I've always like been pulled back to dancing. So that's when I started knowing, okay, this is what I want to do. And then of course Nine Edit came and influencing. And I actually, now that I look back, this is such an interesting thing. My friend called me a while ago and she was like, it is so nice to see you actually doing what you used to do as a kid. So when iPhones came in, my friend was the only one from our friend group that had it, and it had iMovie in it. Every time I went to her house, I wanted to film something and edit on her phone. I was like, please, can I borrow you? Because I didn't have iMovie or anything. And she called me. She's like, do you remember every time you came over, you wanted to do this? And we were so done with you. We didn't want to film anymore. But you always wanted to film. And now it's your job. So I feel like if you just pay attention to the things you're doing, if you find something you like doing, you can make it a job. You can make it your life.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah.
And you're both riding this wave of Finnish education now and in the future. You're both really active on social medias. How can people find you? Let's start with Joalin.
Just Joalin, Joalin, all different platforms. You'll find me.
How about Peter?
Yeah, similar, but yeah, I couldn't get the Peter like handle on Twitter, so it's like P Vesterbacka for me, and that's actually why I joined Twitter like pretty late, or okay, still like pretty early if you look at the history of Twitter, but it was like super annoying that I couldn't get like at Peter there, so that's like sucks. But yeah, you can find me on all the social media, P Vesterbacka. So yeah.
Okay. And then the last question of the day is that, Joalin, now that you have spent 1 year here in Finland, what do you actually love about Finland and what do you love about the Nordics?
Wow. I love the dedication that people have here. I love the internationality, especially in Helsinki. I feel like you can find everything you find around the world, you will find it in Helsinki. I love the nature. I love the people, the food, makaronilaatikko, irtokarkit. Yeah, I love that people are always early. Okay, maybe I don't love that because I'm very bad at being early, like today. But I don't know. I just love how organized everything is and how easy and safe. Oh my God, I love how safe it is. Love Finland.
And what should we bring from Mexico here?
The sun.
The sun.
Yep. And
that's just a grab, so it's
no.
It's
I think maybe just the more like welcoming mindset. I feel like people here are very like, oh my God, no, nothing can change. This is like everyone's really like that. And Mexico is like chill, like just see what comes tomorrow. And so if we could like mix both of them, that would be amazing.
Cool. How about Peter? You are not allowed to say education.
No, about Finland. I think that's like then I need to say like everything or something like that. But yeah, I think that there's a lot to love, and of course, having a society that kind of like works, and you can like appreciate that when you go to places where it's not the case. And I think that for the most part things are okay. But I think that there's a lot of things that we need to make more than okay. And of course, I think that, we have a lot of work to do in many areas. And I think that what Joalin was mentioning, being more welcoming and more open, I think that we can still work on that. And I think that it's something that we have to work on. So we have a lot of work to do, and we don't have enough people. So I think that there's a lot of opportunities for people from Mexico, from like all over the planet to have a fantastic life here in Finland. So we can offer fantastic education, but we can also offer fantastic jobs. And I think that is, if you ask like any parent what you want for like your child, is of course like a happy life. So I think that we can offer that here in Finland. After all, we've been the happiest nation on the planet now for 4 years running. So there's something in the water or something.
I need to add to this, as
Yeah.
you said, like there's a lot to change and evolution.
Yeah,
Young people are the future.
of course.
And young people are in social media. And who runs social media? Influencers. So that's why this is going to
Yes.
be great, because
Yeah.
that way we can influence, and then the future is going to be better. Yay.
Excellent. Very good. That's
So
great.
we
Great.
are the future of the education, and the future of education is what we make it into.
Yeah.
I think this sums up really well the conversation here. I want to thank you both so much for taking the time to join
you.
the podcast episode
Thank you.
today.
Thank you.
And I think this is just a good start of something we need to dive deeper and deeper into in the coming years. So a big thanks to Joalin, big thanks to Peter,
Hey, thank you.
Thank you.
and we'll be back again. Thank
Yeah,
you.
fantastic.
Bye.